Hello YouTube, my name's Jason and this is Lineware. Today I'm going to be teaching you about a new type of object. It's a number class and it has some classes in it that are like integer. This is a object that passes a integer value, and if you remember, just int, it's a primitive data type, and it passes a integer value, but this value can't use any objects. If I go over here and I press say X and I press a period, and you see there's no default proposals because this is a primitive data type built into Java. Whereas with this integer, if we go ahead and give this a value, and let's just go ahead and make this one 7, and we come over here and we change this to y, now we get the opportunity to use many different types of methods and constants. Like we have this max and min value, and what this does is it passes the max value you can put inside of this integer and the minimum value you can put inside of this integer. Say if we put the max value on here and then we printed it out on the screen, whenever it gets done loading, you can see the max value that you can put inside of a integer is this number right here. Whereas if we was to put the minimum value, it would be negative, pretty close to that number, but it'll be a little bit different. And yes, this all has to be capitalized. And when I run it, now we get this value. And I think the only difference on this I showed you was the max value had a 7 right here, and the min value has an 8, and it's a negative on the min value. And you can do this with any of the primitive data types, even character. You can come in here and you can do character, and now you have a character data type that you can pass in here as well. And whenever we print this out on the screen, you can see it gets no value, but that's because 7 isn't a character, it's a integer. But you can still pass 7 into the integer value. And let's see, you get these y, you can pass y into it, and now if we print that, still nothing because it doesn't use it. And each one of these have their own little classes to it. Like you can do max code point. These right here are not classes. These are what we call variables. So these are the class variables that are inside of it. You can check its size and all this stuff. You can do size and then print it, and you get a different value of 16 because this is a 16-bit character. And just stuff like that. You can use, like I said, any of them. And the only one that you can't use is string, but that's because string in itself is a object. So if we wanted to use string, we could just do like this, and we would have to change this right here because it doesn't hold that value of dot. And as you can see, like I said, string, even though we've been using it forever, it's not kindred to the primitive data types like int and boolean and all of them. It's kindred to like integer and all of them. This is a object, it's not a primitive data type. And it has all these values and all these things you can do with it, which are actually very, very handy whenever you look at them. And you can find out the way to use these by just clicking on here, and it tells you what type argument you have to pass into each one of these right here next to it. If you're using Eclipse, this is why I like using Eclipse. It tells you like this, and you can just come right over here and click this, and then it allows you to scroll through it. And sometimes they'll show examples and stuff in here. But in programming, just remember, you don't really need these examples because all you really need to know is what type value you have to pass into it, and you generally want to know what it does. And as you can see, this just says it returns the char value at the specified index. So what we're going to be doing is, since this is a 3-point char, we can throw that x into it, and we shouldn't get any value because x is equal to 6. But now say we throw in 2, we could pass 2 to it, and then it will tell us what character is at 2. And if you remember, in this is a array, so D is at 0, O is at 1, and G is at 2. And that's why when we put in 2, we got G. And that's what that means. And that's pretty much all I'm going to go over in this tutorial. Also, I just want to say one more thing, like Boolean. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Boolean is spelled like this one way, and whenever you want to use the object, you just capitalize that first letter in it, and we could just do like that. And now this is an object, and it's no longer a primitive data type. Well, that's all I'm going to go over in this tutorial. The one I think you really should work with is string, because string has a lot of really cool things you can do with it, and work with a lot of all of them, because you want to get familiar with these objects. Now, don't get me wrong, you still want to use these primitive data types whenever you get the opportunity, because they use less memory than the actual objects, and that's why you would want to use these. So that's all I'm going to go over in this tutorial. Thank you for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, and have a great day.